Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church, and I'm here with my good friend Joe Williamson. And Joe, we're here to talk about the Board of Elders at the Village Church. As you know, we're in that period of time in which we've just had elections of officers, and a number of people on some of our main boards and committees, those kinds of organizations have changed, and they're getting ready during this month to begin their ministry for the next year. And so it's an opportunity for us to introduce those boards to the congregation and to the community by way of Shell Point Television, so that they'll have a little bit of an insight about how the Village Church works, how things actually function in the Village Church. And this Sunday we're going to be introducing the elders to the congregation, and you're one of our elders and have been involved in eldership ministry not only here at the Village Church but in other churches as well. So that's what we want to talk about. And so the first question is, who are the elders? What are the elders supposed to be biblically? Obviously, the Bible tells us, first of all, about their qualifications. What kinds of qualifications do we have for people who are going to serve as elders?
Well, in Titus, the elders have to be blameless, upright, holy, and disciplined. Mm-hmm. And they need to hold firmly to the trustworthy message as it has been taught, so we can encourage others by the sound doctrine and refute those who oppose it. Mm-hmm. And in 1 Peter, it tells us that the elders must be shepherds of God's flock. They must serve as overseers, and not because they must, but because they want to and are willing to serve others. Mm-hmm. And you must be eager to serve and be an example of the flock at the Village Church.
Mm-hmm. How about that? Now, those are pretty high standards. Yeah. I think we don't want to give people the impression that elders are perfect people, though, do we?
No.
The statement that they need to be blameless and holy really has to do with making sure that we have a transparent life before the Lord and before our brothers and sisters in Christ. And so that, when we do err, which we all do, that we, confess it and make our relationships right with one another and with the Lord very, very quickly. Yes. So we can have the kind of reputation that we are trustworthy people. We are the kinds of people that the Village Church can really trust to be our spiritual leaders in the congregation, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so with those kinds of qualifications, then, you've mentioned a passage in 1 Peter which talks about them being overseers. Yes. Which I think is an interesting way of looking at it. When you look at church government, the word for elder in the Greek is presbyteros, which really relates to what we think of as the Presbyterian form of church government, but the word overseer is episkopos, which is also related to a form of church government, the Episcopal kind of view. But both of those ideas really have to do with the spiritual oversight of the congregation. So with that in mind, what kinds of things do the elders actually do in the Village Church?
Well, at the Village Church, we do serve communion, we do visit the sick, we meet on Sunday mornings and pray for the people that have prayer requests and for those that we know are sick. That's mainly what we do.
Mm-hmm. Of course, there's a meeting once a month, and of course, yes, in that meeting, we hear reports from various ministries and from this pastoral staff as well. And so we're engaged in overseeing those ministries as well from a spiritual perspective. One of the things that distinguishes an elder from perhaps other offices biblically has to do with a teaching ministry. How do we connect with the teaching ministry here at the Village Church?
Well, some of the elders do teach the CLS classes here at the church.
CLS is the Christian Life Studies.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And most people would think of it as Sunday school,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Right.
And occasionally, if the pastor is absent, why, they will speak in the pulpit. But they're mainly called to be examples for the people and to help the people to be born-again Christians.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, that's a pretty significant role that we have for the elders in the Village Church, and we're delighted to have a whole bunch of people who are qualified and get elected. About how many elders serve each year?
We have approximately 15 elders that serve with the senior pastor.
Yeah.
And we oversee the temporal and spiritual affairs of the Village Church in order to accomplish Christ's mission. in our Shell Point community.
Yeah, well, that's great. We can't do without the elders. The elders are a very important dimension of the way way we function in terms of our leadership here at the Village Church. And one of the things that I like about the elders, in addition to the things that you have described that are sort of official functions, the elders are usually involved in various ministries of the church, not necessarily in an official capacity, but as you mentioned, as an example of someone engaged in various types of ministries. Maybe they're involved in a Bible study, not necessarily leading it, but are present there. Maybe they're involved in perhaps like the deacons ministry, overseeing benevolent kinds of things. Maybe they're involved in even volunteering in our community in some of the capacities in the healthcare facilities that we find. So I like to see the elders sort of filtering out into the community here at the Village Church, and that's why it's a very important dimension that we have for the things that they do. Well, thank you, Joe, for sharing that time with us. We're looking forward to introducing the elders to our congregation this coming Sunday, and we're looking forward to an excellent year together. And we hope that you'll join us at the Village Church as you are able, and connect with the spiritual ministries of our fellowship, and so grow in your walk with the Lord. Blessings to each and every one of you. Hope to see you soon.